Pushing and showing and showing. But yeah, we keep going and going. But it's family forever. We've done it over and over. Will we ever reach the end? How do we get through the night? Or do we have to fight? Outwake ourselves, spark the willing night. Maybe we can redefine what it means to get you time. Now we take the chance to fight the fight we seek. We
Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's Sunday, and that means it's time to round out the week of Misfits, a racing league action. This week, of course, we've been taking to the Mexico Grand Prix circuit, and joining me for APAC, it's been a little while, but back once again in the commentary is, of course, Seb. Seb, my friend, how are you doing?
Good as always, Unicorn. How are you yourself?
Yeah, very, very excited for this one. We've already wrapped up the championship here in APAC. Obviously, we crowned Ben the Bear not too long ago, and he is, romping ahead on 402 points ahead of Mikal there. His teammate Captain of Gold in third, but we do still have a bit of a mid-pack going on in, below Remco Van Putten there. You got Cello, just in those double digits, chased by Combined, Panda, Trin, Emzo. There's a lot of close battles there. Obviously, not all those drivers still sort of very active in scoring points at the end of things. We have opened it up to European reserves. I do think we've only got one today, but one more reserve than we would have had that rule not been applied. Now that the two championships have been wrapped up by, of course, Ben and the Mercedes squad. But of course, Mexico today, we've seen a lot of action around here already. 17 turns, 2.6 miles long, 3 DRS straights, including that huge run down into turn 1 and a pretty decent run into turn 4 as well. So we'll be looking for overtakes all afternoon through there. But other than that, we're just sort of waiting, of course, for the last sort of few people to get in here. We've got 3 rounds of action left, including this one. Obviously, next week we'll be going to Brazil and then rounding things out in Abu Dhabi. But it's been an interesting season so far. We've got about a minute until we get everyone readied up here. Seb, before we go into this, any sort of predictions as to what we might see here today in Mexico?
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but Ben the Bear for the win.
It's an excellent prediction.
Man. He's been the man, so championship winner. Expect him to just bounce off of that, keep going. Obviously, Captain of Gold and Remco, they're in a little bit of a championship bout, separated by just under 40 points, I should say. 38 points of difference, but you could see some jostling position for P3 in the championship, but Captain of Gold has come through strong in what has been the second half of the season for him, so I expect him to hold on to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, those Mercedes guys, they've been working together. We'll see whether, Slipstream could play a role here tonight. You've got, like I said, these long straights, and we saw a couple of people attempt to, Domi Paris in Tier 1. They tried it in the 2 Ferraris. Didn't quite go to plan either time, so it's a little bit tricky to get this one right because you want that exit speed. You want to be going so fast. You've got to be timing that slipstream to perfection. But if you have practiced it, then it is, of course, possible to gain a tenth or so down a couple of these straights. But you don't want to be risking your lap, setting a precedent, invalidations as well around here. The track limits are particularly difficult to just remain inside, and in qualifying we've seen it where drivers are pushing and pushing, and then that last lap they just have to take it easy just to try and keep themselves within the white lines, avoid themselves getting that red track map.
Yeah, and it's one of the hardest tracks to avoid a penalty at. However, it keeps you on your toes, and that can be a good thing at times. We've seen good races around here, haven't we? I was lucky enough to commentate the Americas one, and that was a very exciting race at the front of the field. You might see that in the midfield here. We tend to have a close midfield in APAC Division, but it changes race to race, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And there we go. We do have the countdown going off at the top of the screen. About 20 seconds until we dive into qualifying. And we'll see just how it goes. Ben the Bear, well, he's looking to just go for records at this point. I've been talking to him throughout the week, and he's just trying to maximize his race results. Very confident that he can get the MRL track record around here, which was set earlier this week in Tier 1. But in that qualifying session, we saw a late crash. Wipe, some of the last runs out. And as such, there could have been improvement there. That's given Ben a bit of hope here that he can steal it away.
Yeah, and we also had that in Americas, just showing that this track can prove quite a difficult one to absolutely nail up. Obviously, that middle sector, that S section, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is very, very hard to nail, and it can certainly heat up your tires a fair bit, and that can leave you a bit vulnerable in 12, 13, 14, and 15 if you're not really on it, and you're not prepared for what your tires will give you. So, should be an interesting one. Obviously, we have Ben as both our favourites, as we mentioned, but that midfield's always it's always good to look at.
Yeah, and we still have only seen, aside from Ben Mikkel win a race, 4 race wins under his belt. We'll see whether he can perform here this evening. We have seen, you know, penalties play a role, a couple of sort of interestingly placed safety cars as well. They can shake things up a lot here. Strategy, a pretty key element here in Mexico. There we are. We aren't seeing any rain here in qualifying. Obviously, we won't have the weather report until we get into, you know, either someone comes across in chat or into the race, of course. But right now, looking very sunny here in Mexico. The time to beat, if anyone's wondering, for Ben and anyone else who's going for the track record, is a 1:12.648, which was set on Thursday night. But let's have a look. It looks like Dorshui here, very eager to get out of the pit lane in the Williams. So if all goes well, he will be the one looking to set the first qualifying lap. There's a couple of drivers as well, Seb, I noticed on the timing tower there on the medium tyres. Ben included, Cello as well in the McLaren.
Yeah, well, it seems to be that the 2-stop is the correct strat around here. Obviously, we've had 5 races, sorry. That's 2 Americas divisions and Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. This is the 6th race of the week here. But not the last. We have, obviously, F2s, I believe, later on today. I don't know what time that is GMT, but you might be able to inform the viewers of that.
Yeah, that won't be about 8 p.m, so 7.5 hours from now.
Yeah, and just a quick weather check. Dry quali and a dry race, but once again, we have a light rain at plus 45 minutes into the race. So safety cars might help bring that forward in the context of this APAC race tonight.
Yeah, well, we go. Dorshu, he did invalidate his out lap, but we're on his his flying lap, or will be, as he comes out of the last corner. So we'll go right on board with the Williams as he crosses the start finish straight. You can see the track map go back to green again. Opens DRS for the run down into turn 1. Let's see what he's got in the tank in this Williams. Looking to try and find yourselves low 113s, high 112s around here, ideally. To sort of, that's where Ben the Bear's pace will be in those mid 112s. But here we go, coming out of 3 nicely, getting onto the second DRS straight off the track. There's 3 around here into turn 4, of course, fastest sector 1 of anyone, being the only sector 1 of anyone as he makes it through 4-5. Now into the double right-hander of turn 6. Again, keeping it nice and clean and tidy through there. Not necessarily using all of the curves, but just trying to keep it valid on this first run. Wanting to play it safe, get a banker lap time on the board. A little bit of a rear end step out, catches it nicely as he comes through the remaining S's section. Gets it out of turn 11, gets DRS open down into turn 12. There's Captain of Gold holding off on the right-hand side to let the Williams by. Now into the hairpin of turn 13. A little bit of a lock-up on the front left, but nothing that should shave off too much time. Gets it through 15, 16 nicely through the final corner of 17, using all of the curb there, and it's a 1:13.911. So not a bad time to open this up. Definitely more for the Williams to find, but for an opening lap, that's not a terrible lap time. Let's have a look at Eccentric here. He's coming through the final sector, as well as Ben the Bear. I do believe that is him behind him on the mediums. We'll see where he can land himself. And through the final corner for the Ferrari. And it's a 1:13.7. What can Ben do in the Mercedes? It's a 1:14.1, but that is on the medium combat tires. And also, he didn't take the optimal line out of the final corner, so he is just sort of not pushing too hard. Enzo hops into P2 at 1:13.8. And time's already starting to crumble down a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen Matt drop it in the pit lane. It's a bit of an odd spot to do it. I think he might have lost it out of turn 16, but yeah, as I say all the time throughout the season, early stage of qualifying is trying to find your iron, build up that rhythm. All about nailing that last lap, or at least getting as close to perfect as possible.
Captain of Gold now coming through into the final few corners. We'll see what he can do. Apparently, Dorshui does not have his setup loaded, so that It's a bit of a struggle for him. Captain Gold only capable of a 14.7 here. Definitely not where he wants to be at this stage of, the session.
Well, it doesn't look like he's used any of his ERS. Stuck at 100, so he just left that off the whole lap. Might be looking at a mediums run later on.
Well, here's Mick out, championship runner-up for the season. And he's wrapped up that position as well, so he will finish P2. Still, though, pushing to try and maybe get one last win against Ben the Bear. Get to the nice round number of 5. He's got 3 races, including this one, to do it. As he invalidates, coming out of turn 5. He will not be happy with that one. That is a first run, and it's not in a really... one of those places you expect to see an invalidation, Seb. Just come out of 5. They're taking so much to the inside curbing. On the outside, it's more, frequent through here as well in the S section, but turn 5, not really where I'd expect to see it.
Yeah, you don't really, like you said, you don't really expect to see it there. You can gain time if you take that corner perfectly and you cut enough that you will gain time, but also keep it far enough left that you don't get all 4 wheels off the track. You can gain some time by cutting that over that little bump of a curb, but you normally see people just avoid it because it normally provides really bad traction. So different line, maybe it was just turned in too early and the car hooked up, or maybe the car hooked up more than he thought it would. That's probably only 2 other reasons than him just trying to take an optimal line through there that I can think of.
We're on board now with combined YouTuber. We'll see how he goes here. In the Ferrari, currently sitting in 6th place in the championship. And he's had a pretty good run so far. No podiums to his name. The highest guy up on that leaderboard without one. And we'll see whether he can score a top 3 here. We do have 14 drivers on tonight's grid. Or today's grid, whatever the time may be locally for our viewers at home. But combined hasn't stepped into that top 3. He's scored 78 points though. Consistency has really been his thing this season as he comes through into the DRS zone down in the run to turn 12. Although it looked like a little early on the brakes there for the Ferrari as he comes through now into the final sector. We'll see what he's got through here. It's a little bit unsure. It seems pretty timid coming through 14, 15 and out into 16 and 17. But to the line, yeah, he's dropped that lap time. 15.6. So again, I wonder, like you say, if that's someone lining up to try and get a medium run in. Matt's invalidated his time. We'll go on board with J.A. Gaines reserving today in the Haas.
Ooh, J.A., lively figure. Very funny guy. He's reserving today. But in that Haas car, but as you said, combined, dropping that time, slowing down before the line. It's, not often you see that from drivers on soft tyres unless they want to get in a medium run later in the session, as you mentioned.
Yes, JA a 1:15.7 again, not the best time we've seen there, but just didn't look like he was comfortable throughout that lap. Sid in the Renault. The Trackman did just flash purple in Sector 1. We'll see whether that holds any weight here for Sid. He's had a pretty good run so far, and he hasn't been here very long, but already 28 points to his name as he comes through the S's section. DRS open. We'll see what sort of time he's doing here as he comes out of the Sector 2 into the final Sector 12. Taken very nicely into the hairpin. Very wide there, though. Super deep, and that's going to cost him here as he comes through the final few corners. But that's rectifiable in the last few laps. A bit of a slide coming into 17.2. And it's still good enough for a 1:13.9. So definitely could see him in contention for these top 3 spots and maybe even the front row as well. But we haven't seen a time from Mikkel. We haven't seen a soft time from Ben the Bear, although we're about to. He's up a second already. And that's just through the first 2 sections. Captain of Gold gets out of the way. I don't know whether there was a bit of a slipstream there between the 2 drivers. And, well, that's not a bad time to start off your soft run with a 12.832. The lap record of 12.648. So at this stage in the session, to already be setting that time, you can be feeling pretty happy with that one, I think. As I think that was eccentric across into 4th.
Yeah, and with how much the track kind of ramps up as the session goes along, in a circle like this where you want that extra grip, You always want it. That middle sector, that even then, turns 1, 2, 3, and that last sector, you just want that extra little bit of grip to allow for a bit more speed through the corners and some better traction. Can really help out, and you can see a lot of tents taken off times with lap times later in the session.
Well, here we go, the other Mercedes. We've just seen one go very fast. Let's see whether Captain of Gold, can do the same thing. Get DRS open out of the S's, hugging the left-hand side of the track. He has a huge amount of time here. So like you said in that first run, not using one of his ERS this time. Definitely coming in with a bit more foot on the throttle as he comes through into the final couple of corners. He's up almost a second. We saw Ben do a similar sort of thing for the opening 2 sectors, and there it is, P6. 9/10 gained, just behind Emzo there, just ahead of Sid. Sid, we expect to see improve. I imagine we can expect similar things from Captain of Gold. Sound easy. He's flying. He's up a couple of tenths as well. I don't think this will be enough to dethrone Ben the Bear from the top of the tower here, but Sound easy right now. Looking pretty strong here as we come through out to the line. And there is a 3.5 tenth improvement of 113.1. Doesn't move him anywhere, but puts him a half a second clear of Dawn Shui in the car behind. So very, very nice from him.
Just look at how close that midfield is. Top of the midfield. Obviously, we have 4 drivers who haven't put in a time. That's Cello, Matt, Mikhail. We expect him to be up there in Rez. But seems some good signs of a close race coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sandy's in P2 right now. We haven't seen Mikhail set a lap time just yet. Obviously invalidated last time around. But Sandy's in P2, coming off the back of his first podium of the season, Japan. Feeling confident, it would seem. They've been around the low points, a lot of 9th place finishes, 10th, just outside of the points a number of times. But now, coming in here with 2nd place right now in qualifying. We'll see whether he can double up on his podium count for the season. But here we are, on board with Matt, the man who scored 14 points across the season. Singapore 6th place, Belgium 8th place, wasn't here in Japan. Last time out in Russia he came 12th. See if he can score more points here around Mexico, coming through the opening few sectors. Well, that's a very, very big mistake. He's actually going to keep it valid by just driving off the track there, but that's going to cost him huge chunks of time here. But it looks like he's going to persist with the lap despite that.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a long lap, but there's a lot of corners to gain time. So you might as well stick with it, even if you're maybe a 10th or 2 down in the first sector.
Rez, looks like he's called it quits in the pit lane. I don't know whether he's having a qualifying ban there, but no time set for the Red Bull driver. Here's Matt, pretty nice through there. Just a tad wide though on exit, and that is invalid, so he will be bringing it back into the pit lane. Dorshui, he's flying in the Williams, as has Ben the Bear. Just started to fly. Mikau as well. He's about to start in the Alpha Tauri. His teammate Stars once again absent. Dorshui going wide, just where we saw Matt go wide.
Yeah, that's the 3rd time we've seen that. I can't remember who
Ben
did
the
it
Bear
earlier on in
just
the
cut
session.
the corner.
Wow. Well, his time's been invalidated though, so.
Dorshui now appearing as
obviously
an
on the
outlap,
inside.
so
Okay, that makes more sense now.
it's a little bit of a visual bug there. Emzo, he's up 3 tenths as he comes into the final sector. Also, Mick came back into the pit, so I'm not sure what happened on the outlap there for Mikkel. I don't know if he picked up damage somewhere, but he's chosen not to set the time. Let's see what Emzo can do in the McLaren. He jumps into P3 with nearly a half a second improvement. Nicely done from him. Closes that gap between the midfield and the top 2. Kojaki's crashed through the S's. That's what we saw Alex Biddo do. We're not going to get a view of that car, I don't think.
No cars obviously going through sector 2, but some impressive times being put on the board. Obviously, Ben the Bear doing Ben the Bear things, but Sandeezy's right up there. He only has had the pace to get some good points, but hasn't really materialized. Obviously, you said first podium last week, so it shows he can do it. He can get the job done. It's all about making it a regular thing rather than just a one-off thing.
Absolutely, a couple cars now coming through. I think Sid is actually on a flyer here in the Renault. We'll see what he is capable of producing here. About 3 minutes left in the session. And of course, that's when things really start to spice up. Sid did very well to get through the S's last time around. His time mainly lost to the hairpin down at turn 13, but again, nicely clean through there, hugging the left-hand side of the track, keeping 2 wheels within inside the lines. Coming through turn 12, nicely done through there into the hairpin. Again, a tad deep, but less deep than the time before. So this will be an improvement, I should imagine, as well with the tyres or the track being in a little bit of a better situation and a little bit faster. And there it is, 3/10 gain, 5th place for Sid. And they're just off Dorshui. So again, if he'd found more time through that hairpin, could have been P4, but I don't think I'll be too disappointed with that lap.
Yeah, you sometimes don't mind going a little bit wide at that hairpin of turn 13, that is. It tends to be a very tight corner. It's hard to get good traction out of it, so sometimes claw back a little time through turn 14 if you take a good enough line and you turn in at just about the right moment. But yeah, like you said, probably could have had Dorshui by a couple of hundredths of a second if he just got a bit closer to that apex.
Well, here's something that's just sort of come out of nowhere. Mikau, maybe he was planning not to set a time in these early stages of the session. He has gone onto the medium compounded tyres. On an outlap right now, as are Ben the Bear and Sandeezy, the 2 front row runners. But we'll see what the AlphaTauri could produce on those mediums, where he can land himself here. Obviously, he's looked at the timing tower and thought, you know what? I could put myself into that top 10 on the medium compounds. It's a bold call from him, but the reverse strategy, starting on those mediums, pretty strong here around Mexico, as we see Matt now come out of turn 11 onto the DRS straight down into turn 12. And we saw him overstep the mark there, and you could see him slowing down there, just to avoid invalidating on the exit there. So not confident. There's Ben the Bear gearing up for his next run, getting out of the way of the Alfa Romeo. But here goes Matt, flying now to the line, and it's P9, a 114.1 for him. So not a bad time at all. Ben the Bear, this lap, well, it could be the MRL lap record if he continues his current form. We did see him invalidate coming through the inside of turn 3 a few moments ago. But here we go, into turn 1. Comfortably through the first 2 turns, gets it through turn 3 without the invalidation there. I think that was Eccentric hopping into P4 there. Sandeezy's to start a fly. Ben the Bear now going down into turn 4. Turn 5 we saw Mikau having a invalidation there. Not the case for Ben as they go through the double left right-hander of 6. Matt there still in front of him, and he needs to get out of the way here if he wants to not impede Ben the Bear here. But there might even be a little opportunity for a tow from the Alfa Romeo if he's not careful, and he needs to pull off here.
Ben the Bear is right on the limit. You could see he's just on the white lines as perfectly as it gets through that S section.
Well, this is...
He might be getting held up by Matt here.
Yeah, he's lost it.
He has. That could have... How much was he up in that last sector? I'll have to check.
I think he might be going... I don't think he's got... He can't go again.
Yeah, he can't.
Session's over, so he'll be infuriated by that. Mikau didn't set a time. Now, does this open the door for Sandeezy? It'd be a monstrous improvement, but...
I wouldn't be surprised to see Mikau go for a one-stop here. Hard mediums, potentially. Sandeezy does improve at a 130.4. Sorry, 130.04. So he's showing some real pace, Unicorn.
Yeah, Emzo now. Well, he's invalidated, so I think that's just about it here.
Maybe Captain Gold?
Very, very possible. He's up. Yeah, he's up. Nearly 2/10, or nearly 3/10, sorry. There you go, through the hairpin. Let's see what Captain could do through the final section. Apparently Matt was going again there, so that's why he didn't get out of Ben's way. Captain just hooking the curb through the final corner, but still finds P5, a nice improvement from him. And that is qualifying wrapped up. So it's Ben the Bear on pole. Doesn't The Ace Richie's time, though, 112.6, stands as the MRL track record. Even that Ben had a bit of traffic there on his final run. But Ace Richie's time still stands. But Ben the Bear, despite all that, still pole position here ahead of Sandeezy. A great qualifying run for the man who scored his first podium last week. So, great run of form here from the Racing Point. You know, another podium. You could see him catapult up in the drivers' standings here. You know, maybe up into the top 10 by the end of the season. But it's Ben the Bear on pole ahead of Sandeezy. Then the midfield a lot tighter than it is up at the front. Emzo P3 ahead of Eccentric in the Ferrari. Captain of Gold in the other Mercedes starts 5th ahead of Dorshui in the Williams. Sid starts 7th. Matt starts 8th there. Kojaki in 9th. Combined YouTuber 10th place. JA Games, the only other driver to set a time, just outside of the top 10 there on 11th. Potential for the reverse strategy. Same with Cello here in the McLaren. He starts 12th with no time set. Mikau didn't set a time in 13th, and Rez as well. He retired the car in the pit lane, so I'm not sure whether he was selling a qualifying ban or what. But if you are just tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Misfits Racing League Mexico Grand Prix for our APAC Division. If you're enjoying things, please do slap the like button and subscribe as well. And as well as a massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, wheel stand, motion sim, that kind of thing, be sure to check them out over on their website. Link is in the description down below. But we're loaded into the race, and as you said earlier, we are expecting a little bit of light rain towards the end of things. Safety cars could extend us to that wet weather period, but we'll just have to wait and see. Only time will tell with that one. The reverse strategy possible around here. You know, you've got 4 drivers there able to start on the mediums, and I think we'll probably see them take it all. I would expect, Seb.
Yeah, well, mediums would be a smart idea to start on, considering it gives you a bit of flexibility. You can either go mediums hards for this race, or you can probably do the more ideal strategy, which is medium softs, or medium soft, depending. Actually, is that even a legit strategy? I don't even know. I don't think it is. It's medium soft, sorry, just to correct myself. But yeah, you could see that come out.
Well, here we are, and well, there's the game. Well, it's actually validating what you said. It's saying soft, medium there for the recommended strategy. But can't imagine we'll see too many people go for that. All the drivers outside the top 10 have gone for the mediums, but we'll just have to wait and see, because JA Gaines reserving here for the first time now that it's been opened to the tier 3 reserve category of drivers, just to try and, you know, increase the number of races that we do have on these grids for the last 2 rounds, now that both championships have been wrapped up by this man right here, Ben the Bear, championship winner, constructors championship winner. He's got that twice now here in MRL. Sandeezy, he starts P2 following a great result in Japan last week out. Emzo starts P3 in the McLaren. We'll see whether he can pick up a podium for himself here. He hasn't been on the podium either, yet starts in the top 3. Eccentric, he's a man who has stepped on the podium twice this season in the Ferrari. We'll see whether he can do that again. And of course, Captain of Gold, he's no stranger to the 3 steps at the end of things in that Mercedes. And of course, he, alongside Ben, is Constructors Champion here in the APAC Division this season. But as we run down now towards turn 12, just about, you know, keeping everything warmed up. Lap here not too long. 36 laps though, so there's a lot of them. As Ben just navigates his way through the final sector.
It'll be interesting to see what. Oh, a bit of a interesting moment for Captain of Gold, but that's not too much of an issue. His tires would be warmed up now, but just as I was going to say, it'd be interesting to see what DRS trains form from our midfield pack here, and how Mikau himself will charge through this field. We all know he has some good pace in him. Obviously P2 in the championship, 4 wins to his name. We'll just see how this AlphaTauri driver goes.
Well, here we go. Everyone lining up on the grid now. 14 races, 36 laps. And then you could just see the Red Bull. Well, that's not ideal timing for that to happen. But we'll go through the start of this race. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here on in Mexico. And it's lights out and away we go. And let's see who's got the better start here. Ben looking like he's got away nice and cleanly ahead of Sandeezy. They lead the rest of the pack in their dust. Eccentric, Emzo, they're side by side already, as are Dorshui and Captain of Gold as we run down towards the first corner. Emzo, he's got the Ferrari on the inside, later braking. Dorshui has a look on the inside. I'm not sure whether he tapped the Ferrari there of Eccentric, but he is around here as we come through out of turn 3. Sid very wide. That opens the door up for his teammate, who might just get him and Dorshui at the knock level. Dorshui pushing him into the grass here as they run down towards turn 4, but it is the Renault ahead. And the Williams in between the two. Can Sid find his way back past? It's actually Kajaki. He dropped back to both of them there. So he slots back into 7th place. A fairly action-packed opening lap. Mikau, he's up 3 places, already into 10th place and into the points on those mediums, following JA Games, who's up 2 in 9th place. Matt struggling to find his way around the track here, keeping it within the line lines to the S's, but we're already seeing a bit of a break in a train here. JA Games 1.3 seconds behind on those mediums. Matt could go for a lunge here down into turn 12, thinks better of it. Rez, Eccentric, they're side by side, and Rez on those softs looking to try and make some of the positions he lost back through that opening few corners. But that is the opening lap. Not too much drama as combined YouTuber slides through the final corner, but pretty standard opening lap here, Seb.
Yeah, so unlucky for Eccentric. I didn't really get a good view of what happened either, but I did see he got an absolutely mega start, able to pip Emzo early on, but just wasn't able to make it count at the end of the day, and that's really unfortunate for him.
Yeah, looking on board now, the medium runners sort of are holding a couple of the soft runners here, and well, Matt, one of those soft runners, looking to try and find a way past JA Games for P10, and he doesn't find it down into turn 4 as they come out, and he's looking, he's got the traction on those softs, just not finding a way past JA Games. He has lost the position to Mikau, who will look to hunt down combined YouTuber, but timing tower, they're not giving us accurate information as Matt, well, he finds a way past JA Games, and he's apparently already dancing on the limit of a penalty in an Alfa Romeo. JA Games could be under pressure here from the McLaren of Cello as well. Up the inside goes Cello and finds it through turn 12. And drops JA back down a place, and can Eccentric find a way around the outside here. He's on the softs. He does have the additional traction, and he does find a way past the Haas. Really trying to find as much space as possible, and JA Games slid. Is he into the pit lane? Yes, he is. So he is coming in for a very, very early stop here.
I wonder if he's got any sort of wing damage. He's just started dropping down the field like a fly. He does have wing damage, so that's got to be the reason why. It might be a bit light. I don't see anything visual in the pit lane, but that's unfortunate for him. Had a very good start. He was looking good so far, but it's all fallen away now.
There's something interesting. Sandeezy right on the tail of Ben the Bear. Hasn't let him go. And we are, going to see DRS start to help the Racing Point stick with the Mercedes even more. And we're seeing that a little bit. And we're going to see it here now. There's the rear wing popping open on the Racing Point. And he has a little lick up the inside of 12, but you want to stay behind here. Wait until the start-finish straight, because that is obviously a much more safe move. But if you think that you're going to get held up to this final sector, sometimes it can be worth it to go for the move down into turn 12. Coming through the final corner now, you can see there Ben gains a lot of time. But Sandeezy, well, that rear wing pops open once more, and it will reel in the Mercedes, who is dragging behind him quite the train all the way down to P5. And there's a bit of a gap between Sid and Dorshui there, 1.6 seconds. Dorshui in no man's land. And combined future, but he might find it on Kojaki here, down into turn 1. Up the inside goes the Ferrari, but he doesn't get the move done. Kojaki later on the brakes holds it around the outside there. Very nicely done from the Renault driver there. And Mikau is also taking a big chunk out of this. The gap here is, there goes goodbye Juju, and now looking at the inside of the Renault. And again, the Renault puts up a superlative defense. Doesn't allow the Ferrari by. Into the double left right-hander though. And again, around the outside, Kojaki just holding combined YouTuber off here, and combined has to back out of the move. So a great bit of driving between the two of them, but it is costing huge amounts of time to Mikau on the minions behind, who might just have DRS here. I think he was just inside it, and he was. So Mikau now poised to be in a great position to really close down the gap to the front runners, and he needs to be to get this reverse strategy to work, Seb.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. As you can tell, there's some good piece of racing between Kojaki and Combined. Both neither of them giving an inch, keeping it very fair between each other. Combined nearly had him through turns 5 and 6, but ultimately decided to back out after that. On the way to turn 6 and 7. But look at that run for Combined. So close and so easy. And you have DRS assistance as well. You can just slide by like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice and easy down into turn 1. You expect to see it, and we'll see whether Kojaki can do anything about it. Matt picks up a 3-second time penalty, joins JA with that black and white flag. Here goes Mikhail looking around the outside of turn 4, and he's got the move done before the corner. Great move there for the AvaTari. Mikhail really showcasing his pace here. Didn't have the, one lap pace with the invalidations in qualifying, but now on these medium tires, he's really starting to fire himself up, get into that groove of race pace, and he's made a huge chunk of positions here in the opening stages. Still a long way to go, but right now for the Australian, things are looking up for him as he gets DRS once more, this time on Combined YouTuber, and we'll see whether he can get a move done down into the first turn, just as we saw Combined YouTuber do on Kojaki 1 lap ago.
Well, as a great driver once said, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and Mikhail's definitely treating this as a marathon at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Mikhail on the rear. Combined YouTuber. Does he find a way past the Ferrari? DRS in full neutralization. He is gaining big time. Combined YouTuber. You can see the rear light flashing there on the Ferrari. He's really trying to defend this move on the inside as well. And he might have just had it, but Mikhail later on the brakes, deeper into the corner, gets his car ahead. And as they come out of turn 3, DRS is the AlphaTauris, and that might open up the Ferrari to Kojaki in the Renault. He finds his way up the inside. Can he find his way past, though? Later on the brakes of the Renault. That leaves him open, though, as they come through turn 5. And Combined just stays ahead, and Matt is looking at the rear of all of this, and he sends it on the inside. There was not a gap there. And, well, he finds that out the hard way. Matt is around, spins it. And now Sandeezy picks up a penalty. That could have huge implications for the end of this race. But for Matt there, that was not enough room for his Alfa Romeo there, and now he sits outside the points with his penalty. Needs a safety car really to save his race, but at this stage when you're asking for one so early on, it's not something you want. Here we go, the front runners. We're back up at the front now. We've got Sid on the rear of Captain of Gold, but DRS train in full utilization, and Matt appears to have crashed in the final sector. I don't think we're going to see any exchange here. We might see one a little bit further down though with Eccentric. And he is once again going at Kojaki down into turn 1. Actually, no, this is it's another Ferrari. It was Combined we saw beforehand. The Renault is struggling late on the brakes for Eccentric into turn 1. And they're side by side through 2. This is a great move if he can hold it, and he does. And DRS will be his once more. And this battle for the last 2 points, Seb, is quite something, as we've got 3 cars now going down into turn 4. And Eccentric there on the brakes to hold it around the outside of turn 4. Turn 4. The outside line very prevalent, as you can get the inside into 5. But what racing we're seeing here in APAC Division.
Yeah, very respectful, but also hard racing at the same time. Eccentric dropped those positions earlier on in the race. Had a great start, but like we saw, he lost it at turn 1, and now he's just trying to claw his way back through the field. Not sure how much fight he'll get from his teammate Combined, but knowing Combined, he'll be pretty respectful with his teammate.
Absolutely. This train at the front still very much in full swing. Now it's behind Sandeezy. Well, and Julie Ben has started to pull herself away. Matt picks up another 3-second penalty. Really struggling, and he's crashed again. I don't know whether we can see what's happened here to the Alfa Romeo. Just spun it out of turn 3, and he's on fresh tyres, so they shouldn't have been overheated. Here goes Emzo. Has a little look on the inside of turn 1. Doesn't find it there.
Tell you what, we could see some very, very good racing. We've got 2. We've already seen it, actually, I should say, but we've got 2 trains, one for P8, that's 4 cars, and one for P2, that's another 4 cars. And we could see that liven up with these pit stop phases coming in.
Yeah, these DRS trains really making, some great racing. Oh, well, there goes Matt. He has crashed, and that is a full course safety car, so For everyone here, there's a big question. Do you come into the pit lane? Let's have a quick look at what's happened to Matt's car. Coming out of the S's through turn 11. There he is. Front left suspension appears to be broken. So I imagine he's at the left and bounced off the wall there. So we'll see what happens here as we are approaching the pit lane. Does Ben the Bear come in? 7-lap old softs, and he does indeed. You've got to take the free pit stop when it comes. I imagine everyone else now got to follow him in. The question is, what does Captain of Gold do? He needs to really, you know, play this one smart. He's left as much space as he can between himself and Ben the Bear. Obviously, you can't slow down too much because that is against the rules here, but he's actually timed that pretty well. With Ben's lead, he hasn't been held up too much there in the Mercedes pit window, so Mercedes great job there. I do think he held one of the Ferraris, though. I think it wasn't the Ferraris. I think the AlphaTauri behind him, but either way, definitely something going on there with combined Captain and Gold, and the two Ferraris getting double stacked, Eccentric there, losing out.
Yeah, well, Eccentric's really lost out because he's going to have to make work again and find a way back through those two cars of Jackie and Cello. But yeah, Captain Gold timed that well, as you said. He was about 10 seconds behind Ben the Bear when he entered the pits, and that's just about the time you need for the game to reset the pit crew and allow or not get yourself held up.
Also worth noting, Eccentric, he did get hold of that pistol, but he's going to try the hards, and to the end, there's not going to be a lot of pace in those tires. This stint is going to be slow for Eccentric, and for someone in P11, I don't know whether that's a risk worth taking. We'll see if it works out for him, but I don't think that's a right call there. I imagine, you know, everyone else mostly on the mediums. Mikau, he's gone onto the softs. He would have had to two-stop this one anyway, you would imagine. Yeah, starting on the mediums, but he's got rid of the two-tire rule. So he can go on to whatever he wants next. You imagine it would be the mediums? And just sort of giving himself that flexibility, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Eccentric's a bit of a weird call because he's going to have to manage those hard tires, and this is not a track where you want to be managing tires. You want to be able to drive at about 90% the whole way through to absolutely maximize and minimize, I should say, the amount of time you spend driving around this track and get to the finish line as quickly as possible. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I don't think it'll turn out too well. One stop, you need to be medium to hard, and it needs to be around lap 16 that you make that pit stop. But he's got a plan here. We'll see if it works.
Yeah, obviously, only time will tell. And the hard tires, they're not as bad as many people think they are, you know, in terms of just, like you say, sort of half the race, 20 laps. He's got to take them 26. That's the problem there with those tires, but he's got not a lot to lose. He had a really poor start here, trying something different, trying to find his way through here as we are on lap 10 of 36. You're just tuning in, welcome on in. This is the Misfits Racing League APAC Division. It's the last day of the week for racing, and it's here on the YouTube rather than over on the Twitch. Sundays we always stream everything on the YouTube channel. But a massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, wheel stand, motion sim, be sure to check them out over on their website in the link down in the description below. And also while you're there, if you could slap a like on the stream, that would be very much appreciated. It helps us out a ton. But one man who doesn't need any help, Ben the Bear, Seb. Once more, 3 seconds he got in the first 10 laps on the cars behind. Once again, tyres equalise. Fresh mediums. More of the same for this man, I think. Just plug away a big gap.
Yeah. Just control the race, control fuel, control tires. No need for mistakes, no need for warnings. You can just sit pretty at the front. It might be a bit boring, but it's always a good result getting 25 points. And obviously, you got this kind of combined constructors going on in the MRL. Mercedes are up there getting valuable points from this APAC race in Mexico. So we'll see how this restart goes. Obviously, the restart, you'd expect him to go through turn 13 and 14, or start the restart at turn 16, just because that's when the cars are at their slowest and he'll be able to pin the car down earlier than these other competitors.
Yeah, a lot of room for, some opportunity here. And if he went through out of 13, championship runner-up Mick out here, he's on the sods. He would be all the way down, before the hairpin. So We'll see how, what he goes for here. Whether, Ben takes that into his stride. He wants another win here. Like you said, the combined constructors, he's very much focused on that now. He knows that he has been sort of Mercedes' golden goose. He has been just bringing points after points week in, week out. We have seen him on the podium in the last 11 races, 10 of those wins, with the exception of, I think, Singapore, where he got demoted to P3. I'm pretty sure he crossed the line in first, but post-race penalties really dropped him down. But this is a man on form. 15 races, 16 podiums, and it's just been an incredible campaign for him. Mexico here looking no different. His last run, not quite where he wanted to be. Matt just on a second run on softs. Held him up there. Traffic getting in the way. Safety car is coming in this lap, and that's what we expect to see. Green flag racing will resume lap 12. And Ben really slowing things down, so he's giving himself time for that safety car to get to the pit lane. And I mentioned this is going to be a fairly early restart, so...
Yeah, well, he's going to have to wait a bit longer because that safety car's not in the pit yet, which means the game will limit his throttle input. I'm expecting he will go at the start of turn 16. And he has.
Yep, there he goes. Pins it out. ERS full throttle on the front three. Well, they benefit from that greatly. You can see now the gap between them and Sid as they drop down. Mikau, what a run he's got on Dorshui. Dorshui knows it. Pretty much just opens the door to allow the AvaTauri through, but Mikau not able to get the run on Dorshui that he needs as they come down into turn 1. Mikau now up the inside. Soft tires versus the mediums, and he's not found his way through. This is costing them both huge heaps of times. The cars in front, and DRS already broken now. There's the run that Mikau needed, but that's a lot of time lost.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised he didn't use more ERS on that main straight, because that would have been the wise decision, just to be able to keep within DRS range of Captain and Gold and maybe maintain it. The only thing that would save him right now is if those medium tires just aren't right up to temperature, and or the guys in front start fighting before DRS comes into play in another lap's time.
It's not easy. Another penalty for him. Kajaki, he's just picked up a penalty as well. And things starting to hot up. You can see here, we've got 4 drivers from second down through 5th. Already lost a second and a half to Ben and Bear. He has some serious pace around here. Kajaki's out.
Oh.
The Renault on the inside coming out of turn 12 between 12 and 13 there.
The safety car.
Straight away, straight back onto it. And we had less than a lap of green flag running there. Rez, well, he's coming to the pits here, so we'll see what he does. JA Games following suit as well. So, interesting call from the pair of them. Rez onto the softs. We'll see what the Haas driver goes for. He is onto a set of hards, and well, this is a more appropriate sort of time to go for it, you'd think, Seb. Lap 13, we see, 2 laps under safety car. He should be able to get these to the end a lot more comfortably than the like of Eccentric. He's already got 3 laps on those Haas. Granted, on the Ferrari, sorry. Granted, he's done most of those laps under the safety car, but still, a little bit of fresher wear for JA means that he should be able to take these to the end. But interesting call. Both coming back in under the safety car, and Ben once more has to garner, a big lead here.
Yeah, JA's just, I think he's made the right call there, considering we will have around 20-21 laps of green flag running, hopefully to the end. And he'll be on the hards. He'll be hopefully sticking with the group, and that means that he'll have a free pit stop on them, and they won't. They're all on the mediums and the softs. Whereas he himself is on fresh hards. He should be able to make them last to the end. Meanwhile, Ben the Bear have to do that restart again. Obviously, 1.5 seconds in the space of 1 lap. That's massive, but he knew he had to do that, and he did it very well. But what has allowed to happen is Mikau to get back onto this P2 kind of battle for that DRS train. It's led him to stick back on it, and he's going to make use of those softs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He cannot afford to have another restart like the one he had just a moment ago. We saw him, struggle to get past Dorshui. He does have time to sort of learn from his mistakes, though. This time we might see him use a bit more of that ERS if he gets stuck behind Captain of Gold going down into turn 1. Captain, though, well, he's been, you know, a great tail runner throughout the season. We'll see whether, you know, resumes that role in his sort of championship battle with Remco. Pretty much ends here, given that Remco not around this week to score points. But Mikkel on those softs, dangerously positioned, but he'll be slower at the end of this race because he will be forced to go for the mediums because there's no way these softs are going to make it to the point where mediums could go to the end, I don't think, unless he could go medium softs off with the safety car extending the tyre life. It seems unlikely, but a lot of options on the table for these drivers. Everyone's caught back up, so hopefully safety car will be in this lap.
As a driver, last thing you want is really options when you want a straightforward race. However, for Mikkel, options is exactly what you need. You want to be able to do something different to your opposition, and that's what's been allowed here. Same for JA. It's been presented an opportunity to do something different, and he has gone for it.
Well, there it is. Safety car once again coming in this lap. Bit of deja vu here. The order not really changing. I think the only difference is Mikkel and Dorsey, maybe an order change at the bottom of things with Res JA eccentric potentially with the pit stops, but we'll see here. We've got 12 drivers left out of 14. We're on lap 14 of 36, so 12 to go. And here we go. Once again, Ben the Bear. There's a massive gap between Sandeezy and Emzo here. There's already a second gap, and Ben the Bear, well, he's gone, and well, that's actually allowed some of these drivers to catch back up, but what a weird restart here. Once again, Mikkel on the rear captain. Different car, same corner. And again, not really using that ERS. Down up the inside, though, and captain, well, is he going to fight this? He is. He's laced on the brakes into two, and Mikkel once more feeling a little bit of stress to get past the car in front of him. Now he's going to use the battery, though. Burn that off. Get down towards turn 4 as quickly as possible. Try and get himself back in that DRS range before that gets re-enabled. But other than that, again, Mikkel the only one to exchange positions here.
Yeah, good move. Banged wheels was captain of goal, but that's all in fairness. Kind of gonna happen when you have a corner that's wide entry and then you times past the apex. So he's done a good.
Cello, he picks up the 3 seconds. He's down in 9th right now. He's on the salt as well, so as he seconds to gain places, any of these penalties could be really costly here at the end of this one. Once again, Ben the Bear, he extends a 1.5 second lead before the end of the lap after the safety car. Here goes Mikkel. What a run he seems to have got out of the final corner on Sid. Although Sid, a bit more pace down the straight, maybe used a little bit more battery there than Mikkel as they go down into turn 1. No positions exchanged there. But there goes Sid. He's all over the gearbox of Emzo ahead of him. Mikkel has the popcorn here in the AlphaTauri. Are we going to see a move down into turn 4? It's Sid around the outside. Not late enough on the brakes, though, to find that. And they're still side by side, and they come together a little bit. That causes Mikkel to slam on the brakes. Rez and Cello, they're exchanging their side by side in the same few corners. And the Red Bull, he comes out on top here. Both of these cars on soft. Cello's 4 laps older, though. But there's a real tussle here with his final podium position, and that has given Sandeezy a break before DRS gets re-enabled, and he will love that. Really comfortable, especially with those penalties that he's picking up. A podium would be difficult here, but with the gap that he's seeing here, if he can continue to extend that, he might be able to save his race. But right now, looking difficult. He just needs these guys to continue their scrap here for that final podium position.
Yeah, exactly. As Mick gets a great run, DRS is now enabled. We won't see any DRS from this first sector, but Mick's got a good enough run that he can sit in the slipstream of Sid. It's not even using ERS Unicorn, but now he is. He's going to try and get that move done down into turn 1, as per usual. Who's going to bring first? Looks like it's Sid, but he's trying to do a switchback, but I don't think that's on at the moment. It looks like Mikkel will take that P4 from him.
Yeah, just slots himself past yet another car here, and he needs to be making those moves quickly. obviously cleanly. He doesn't want to pick up any damage. Slow his car down. But Mikhail, we've seen him all throughout the season. Very, very competent driver. Very quick driver. Now on the faster tyres here. Needs to start closing the gaps down to the, Sandeezy, really. He needs to get clear of Emzo. You'd expect him to and start getting within Sandeezy's DRS range. Sandeezy doesn't have it on Ben, so he won't be any quicker down the straights than Mikhail. If anything, he should be a little bit slower at the exit speed coming out of 17. Rez,
Well,
he finds another position.
Yep, just right around the outside of the combined YouTube at 10-12. Had a great run out of 10-11. Just let him just slot by without many worries.
Well, once again, we're seeing everyone come on to the start finish straight. Does Mikhail pick up a third position on the safety car restart? I don't know if he's going to have the run here. He looks to the outside this time at turn 1. Later on the brakes for the AlphaTauri. A little bit of a front right lock up as he swings around. And, well, they're still side by side through turn 3. And that's pushed Sid right into the gearbox of Emzo here. And he has to run. What a run it is around the outside of 4. He needs to be later on the brakes here. It's a great move if you can get it to stick. There it is as they come through side by side through 5. They're still going here. Sid's got this horrible gearbox glitch that we hate to see. It's through the double right-hander as 6. Sid's ahead. Emzo's in 5th. Captain of Gold is watching on eagerly, looking to try and take a position. But it's Sid taking full advantage there of Mikhail and Sid's battle. Mikhail and Emzo's battle, sorry. And he puts himself into 4th. And Emzo, I think that was picking up another 3-second penalty in the McLaren combined YouTuber as well. Picks one up. They are coming in thick and fast now as we come through the S's section. And Mikhail free to hunt down the cars in front.
Yeah, we have a nice DRS train building up from P4 to P11. That's Sid to eccentric as we already see some position changes. I think that's Rez getting past Dorshui in the final sector. I don't know where he's got that done, but that's a good move if he has. You never normally see moves done there. Maybe turn 13 on the odd occasion, but he's done it there.
There we go, on board with Captain of Gold, watching Sid and Emzo side by side through turn 1. Sid managing to defend that position nice and calmly from the McLaren behind. But this is a brilliant DRS train that we're seeing form. Does Captain of Gold here have the run into turn 4? He does. He's gone for a massive lunge up the inside. There's a bit of contact. And the McLaren of Emzo is around. And that is not what you want to see. Dorshui, he had combined duty ball on his inside. Emzo, he will not be happy about that one. That is very, very unfortunate for the McLaren driver. And stewards will really have a little word about that one after the race.
Yeah, it's a tough angle to slow the car down for Captain of Gold. He just kind of came in, I wouldn't say like a torpedo, but kind of honing in on that potential incident with Emzo on the side of his car. And that's obviously what happened. And we see Emzo go around. And he's dropped all the way to the back of this train.
Yeah, let's see whether Rez, he's been charging through the field on this restart in a similar fashion to Mikhail, only his tyres are fresher than Mikhail up at the top. Captain of Gold ahead of Rez. And no move there into turn 1. You can see the separation now between the podium runners. Mikhail has had a great run, a combined juju, and he gets past Cello for P8. Mikhail's been catching nice and quickly to Sandeezy. It's exactly what he needed to do, proving that there's still pace in those softs, and that's great news for Rez. His are only 6 lap old, and that means that he maybe could push for another set of softs depending on circumstances. It'd be a risky move, but for Rez, no penalties. Maybe he's able to take that risk here. Be very interesting to see. He's got great pace right now. If he could go for softs again, well, potential podium for him. Only the top 6 are penalty free with the exception of Sandeezy and P2, but the other 5 of those drivers are currently penalty free, so any penalty that one of them picks up could prove a problem. Mikhail right now on the rear of Sandeezy. Does he find the run here out of the final corner? Sandeezy already looking to hold the inside line here, trying to break the slipstream for Mikhail here. He doesn't want this AlphaTauri to get any closer, but there's not a lot you can really do when someone is on the tyre advantage with DRS. Look how quickly he has gained. Captain of Gold, Sid. They do exchange. Captain of Gold up into 4th place ahead of Sid in that Renault. Well, Sid, there's the 3-second time penalty for another one of the top 5. Mikkel again failing to get past down easy here, exercising his patience, doesn't want to risk anything. He knows that Ben is pretty much untouchable right now, and as such P2 is where he wants to be.
What's interesting is Mikkel's still unable to get past Sandeezy on those. They may be 11 lap old, but they're really around 6 lap olds with those 2 safety cars we had, so it's just dropping off a bit here. He's gonna have to see if he can make something else work. He's trying something that's not working, getting past Sandeezy. Meanwhile, Rez is, well, he's lit up the track, hasn't he? At least this battle for P4.
Seb, I don't know if Mikkel's got DRS there. I don't think he
don't
does.
think he does
He
either.
doesn't. He lost it
He's
to the
dropped
final
off that
sector.
much. Yeah, he's dropped off that much. Meanwhile, the other soft run up, full up, fresher softs. Rez following this snake that's going down to turn 1. Looking at Sid, but not getting close enough. Obviously, Sid with DRS. Not going to be able to make much moves on him if you're not using your ERS on someone who has DRS. But Sid doesn't get a great run, Unicorn.
It's going to be a late move if there's a move at all, and there is. That is a lunge and a half. But clean as a whistle for Rez. And that one was
glorious.
beautiful.
Put that to music, eh? Oh, that was a nice one. It surprised us as well. I wasn't expecting you to do that. I didn't think it was close enough, but he was brave enough to do it, and it was good enough as well to pull up the car. And Sid was respectful enough to just give him, or kind of give him the corner. He was trying to fight much grip on those softs to fight it.
That was absolutely superb. Definitely overtaking the race there right now for Rez. And, well, if it wasn't that one, it's definitely going to be one of his others, because he has been on fire in these last few laps. We've just seen Cello hop into the pits. He was on soft. He's gone on to another set. I think it's too early for any set of soft. Rez could, I think, and I think everyone on these mediums will go for softs to the end of the race as well. Mikkel, again, could do it. It's a bit more difficult, but
his tyres will definitely die off. We will definitely see a drop in pace by the end of the race. Rez should go into the softs again. I'd expect him to. And that, like I think you said before, we could really see a podium from Rez here if he keeps this pace going. He's got Captain of Gold in sight, so I think he's too far away for a dive here, but I'd love to see another one.
One other thing that we need to factor in, Seb, is I was just thinking about it and the clouds sort of jogged my memory. We are expecting a little bit of rain, plus 45 minutes, which is typically how long these races last, but we've had 2 safety cars here. We've had 2 safety cars, and subsequently we could definitely see that rain. Things starting to darken up. It takes only a couple of laps for once that rain starts to, you know, get those inters out. And, well, that plays a role here. You don't want to be pitting for softs to just have, you know, inters come out 2 laps later. So it's a risky call. What do? Do you go for another set of slicks in the hopes that the rain doesn't come quickly enough to, you know, null and void that decision? Well, for Mikkel, he's making the call. He's in.
Well, I think he had to. He was losing so much pace to Captain of Gold and Sandeezy. Those softs are starting to die. But Rez, look at that run, Unicorn. The DRS, no ERS down the inside of turn 1. He should steal this. And Captain of Gold's fighting around the inside. He'll try and hold on. Turn 2 once again. Rez has backed out respectfully. And we'll have to wait again.
Well, Sid, does he go for some revenge here down into turn 4? No, he doesn't. He has not got the pace to deal with Rez there. The 2 Ferraris, they exchange. Eccentric now on the hards. We'll see what he does towards the end of this race. He's in 7th right now. That tyre strategy, we were a little bit skeptical. Now would really be the time for it to light up if those inters come out at the right time for him. If they come out at all, we're not sure. I'm sure the drivers are in a little bit of uncertainty. And so we've got 12 laps to go. We're 2/3 of the way through this race. And things now are really hotting up here. This has been a great race so far. And it's nowhere near over. Rez, he needs to keep pace with Captain of Gold. He needs to kind of keep these tyres alive for, you know, another couple of laps. Although, if we are going to see into towards the race, an earlier pit stop might not be the worst thing. You know, Mikkel might have a pretty good idea here. depends on those inters come out, if they come out at all.
Well, I wonder what Jeff is telling the drivers that might have played into Mika's decision. Is Rez once again unicorn?
It's a great run here down into turn 1. The Red Bull. This time there is nothing Captain Eagle could do about that one. Eccentric, Dorsey, they exchange. Eccentric's teammate combined. He's into the pits for some fresh softs. And I think they're trying to get that undercut. No, it's still going to get onto the softs. Get some pace going in this late stage. Mikau, he gets past JA Games. No questions asked. JA in the points right now. We'll see whether he's able to stay there by the end of the checkered flag. Inters though, when do they come out? If they come out at all, people, they're going to be, listening to Jeff. Like you said, it depends. That uncertainty is going to be playing with the driver's mind. If they've got an engineer, they can sort of do the risk calculation here. George Stewie, he picks up another 3-second time penalty here. But right now, everyone in this race, they will just be questioning when the right time is to pit, and do they have to pit twice in this race? Is there going to be intermediates by the end of this one? Because if there is, the likes of Eccentric, like of JA Games, they might get away with one less pit stop than everyone else. Rez, well, he has to come in again, and that's Captain of Gold. That's a bold call.
Well, what Captain of Gold and Mika would need is a safety car to come out, or sorry, not a safety car, the rain to come out with about 5 laps to go. That way they might be able to get some interconditions and save their tyres, especially Mikau. Obviously he'll be running 12 laps on those soft tyres. He definitely needs some rain just to help him get to the end of the race without receiving a puncture.
Yeah, I think that's the gamble here. I think they're just putting everything on, the rain here. It's like putting all your money on red at a roulette table. They are just hoping that these clouds burst. And if they don't, well, it's pretty much lose-lose for Captain. Well, he should be able to make it to the end on those tyres as JA Games, Cello, they're exchanging, and JA Games losing yet another position to a soft runners. But these clouds, they're, sort of a few people's lifeline, depending on what they decide to do. And you got to say, if you're in that car, the light levels of the track would have you believe that it's going to rain. Ben the Bear is in, and he's gone for softs. And I've seen him lose a race before for going on to softs moments before intermediates come out. Rez has opted into the pits as well. Sid now up into P3. It might even be... No, it will be P2. There it is. There's Ben the Bear. He's still in the pit lane under that limiter. There we go. He now letting loose with Dorshui coming past.
As well.
This is going to be an interesting race. Well, I want to see these clouds open.
I do as well. I would just start pouring down, please. It's just absolutely...
Oh, look at the run Ben's got.
Ben's run. Talk about the car handling. Obviously, Dorshui 17 lap old mediums, and Ben the Bear's just coming out of the pits with fresh softs. But still, that is absolutely absurd. Look how much he's pulling away from him as well. That's a second in the space of 2 corners.
Well, if there's one thing we know Ben the Bear is, it's fast, and well, he's proven that very much so here. Well, I thought that was him picking up a penalty there for that track limits. It looked like he was right on the edge. I wouldn't be surprised if he picked up a warning. It was Dorsey, the car behind though. There's fastest purple sector of the race through sector 2, and he'll be happy with that one. We'll see whether, I think this might be a fastest lap attempt before, too many things settle down. We'll see here what he does. There's a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Another driver's ahead of him. Pitting JA Games drops down behind Rez there through turn 12. And not sure we're too surprised to see that. The run from then the Bear. This could be fastest lap here, depending on, where he catches Sid. Because, well, DRS is a great, beneficiary there for the driver trying to set fastest lap. That's what you see a lot of the time. But Ben here is probably going to catch Sid at the wrong time down the straight.
We have rain. That's 8 laps before checkered flag as well. We definitely have rain. That was at turn 3. I was looking at the eccentric and I could see raindrops coming down.
Yeah, absolutely. Surely we see inters now as well, depending on how hard this falls. But it was pretty quick the other day when we saw it. I think it was, I want to say tier 3 saw the rain, and it changed pretty quickly there. So we'll see what happens. And Ben, well, he came in at pretty much the worst time.
What's interesting here is how do these medium runners last? As Mikau gets by Dorshui, he just absolutely squeezes him on the outside of turn 12. Mikau just following through. He's got the traction on those soft tires, and he'll get through before the DRS straight.
Well, the good thing here for Ben is that he'll be in lead of things once, if there is the pit window for the Inters, because he's going to catch Sound Easy here. You know, it's not really going to cost him here. And as well, he'll have more traction here as the track gets a little bit slippy. He'll have more traction than the guys on the older tires. Here goes Emzo, no questions asked, not even DRS. And he's ahead of JA Games. His teammate, Cello, well, the opposite's happening to him. He gets passed by Captain of Gold there. Fresher tyres for the Mercedes, and well, Ben's caught about a second at the start of this lap on Sound Easy, and that's without DRS, of course. So very, very impressive stuff from the tyre driver. Eccentric, his tyres now. You can see he's getting a little bit of sit, and well, he can definitely take these hards to when the Inters come out, and the strategy worked beautifully for the Ferrari. It was always, again, he was sort of the first one to sort of gamble for that wet weather, I think. He knew that if he could take those hards to the intermediates, he could save himself a pit stop, and it's worked out very, very nicely here. Pretty much perfectly. He couldn't have asked for better, you know, circumstances. Here goes Ben the Bear, and, well, Sound Easy. He's really going to be feeling those tyres now. Still got some great pace, though. He is still, you know, obviously Ben the Bear. Bit of a different breed as they weave down the straight. Sound Easy, they're trying to break the DRS. It's not going to stop Ben at all. And Eccentric and Sid behind. They exchange the Ferrari up into P3. Dorshui. Well, he's into the pit lane. Is this Inters? I imagine it would be. And it is. I think that's too early for the Williams. But we'll see.
It looks too early, judging from spray and stuff and track conditions, but the cars look very touch and go through corners. Or it might be looking at Sound Easy's traction. Add to the fact that he's on 20 lap old mediums.
Sid's just hugging the gearbox of Eccentric there, and Mikau, he's going to look to try and come past both of these guys. He wants to get ahead before pit stops come in, because I think they will.
They could.
Here he goes. Oh, very close on the rear of Sid there. You don't want to be trying to force an overtake to the S's. But here he goes now. Here he goes. What a run. And he is just breezing past around the outside there. We saw it a few moments ago. And now he just picks off Sid as they get into the hairpin here. Rain. Well, there goes DRS. This is a great time for that call to come. Ben's timed it perfectly. I don't know whether he cut the pit lane to do that or not, because that would have been late. Sound Easy, he speeds into the pit lane. That is his podium chances pretty much negated, because he's already got penalties. Everyone else coming in now. Now, does Dorshui get an undercut here? He came in. That changed very
it looked
quickly.
like they were a lot slower. Yeah, they all looked a lot slower. So Dorshui could very much get the undercut. Same with Rez. Rez has been relatively good, but he's a bit off Dorshui and Cello. Dorshui's absolutely hammered his overtake button this lap, because he's got no ERS deployment for the lap. So it looks like he might jump Captain of Gold here. He will.
A great push there from Dorshui to get himself up into P6. Mikau will be disappointed he didn't get Eccentric on those softs, but I think the rain just sort of put an end to that, and his softs sort of lost their edge, whereas everyone else's tyres just become sort of a slidey mess in those conditions. Look at the weather now. Visibility is, you know, just dwindling in comparison as we come through into the second sector here for the battle for P3. The interesting thing here is Mikau and Captain of Gold, the only two drivers without penalties. Let's have a quick look at that situation. Ben, he's only got 3 seconds. He is not going to be feeling any pressure, really, from any of the cars behind. Sound Easy, he's got 11 seconds. Eccentric has 6. So both of those drivers, realistically, should be beaten by Mikau here by the end of things. And that could be a Ben and Mikau 1-2. We've seen that plenty of times this season. Sid in P5. He's only got 3 seconds, so he could find something. And Captain of Gold, where does he end himself up in this? You know, he'll get past Dorshui on penalties. I don't know whether he'll get Sid. I doubt he will. Be close, but if he pushes. But now that the tyres are equalised, Sound Easy's going to drop like a stone. So we'll see what happens. Penalties, definitely sort of an interesting one here.
Well, I don't think we're going to get much action apart from on the timing board for the rest of this race. Obviously, no DRS tends to quieten down the race at Mexico, but we obviously have that long main straight and then the second DRS straight as well from 3 to 4, so we can see some overtaking, but this car's got to get close enough to do that, and Mick has obviously dropped off from the back of Eccentric in the past lap, getting it acclimated to the conditions, these wet conditions.
Yeah, and he just needs to bring the car home, really. It's, you know, penalties should be able to bring him up into that second place, and it's been a great run from Mikkel here. All the way down. I think he started this race in 13th, if I'm not mistaken. Sandeezy picks up another penalty, as does Eccentric, so they're just making Mikkel's job easier here, and you look at Eccentric super wide through there. And, well, that's gaining him a bit of time to Mikkel, but the 3 seconds, definitely not worth it there. But yeah, it's been a great run from Mikkel, some great positions again. Let's have a quick look at that. We've got plenty of time to look at that. Most people here have lost positions or stayed where they are. You can see, you know, Ben and Sandeezy, they remain 1-2, but we're going to see a little bit of shuffle there. Eccentric, he's up 1. He could still finish P3, depending on where Sid lands in all of this. Mikkel, 9 places up. I expect him to gain 2 on the line. So he might finish this race with 11 places gained, and that would have been a brilliant race from him. Sid, he's up 2. He might even get Sandeezy. I don't know whether he'll get Eccentric. You know, the difference there right now, I think Sid would actually get the position, so he could finish with 4 places gained. Dorshui, he's held on in P6. Captain of Gold's down 2. We'll see whether he makes any places with penalties. I think he will. Cello, Rez, they're up places. Cello's up 4. Rez, he's up 5 with some great overtaking in this race. Not really going to give him too much in terms of points, but from what we've seen, I imagine he's at the time of his life dancing around amongst the traffic in that Red Bull, and still a few points is better than none. Emzo, he's going to finish 10th, and he started way up in 3rd place.
Whoa. Sorry, we might have some action. Eccentric went a bit wide through turn 10 and the main cut turn 11 and so Mikkel over the back of him through turn 12. Don't tell me Mikkel's going to go for a move around the outside. He's getting pushed off. He'll have to back end, and he does.
Sid got very close to the rear. Mikkel there, and he does send a little bit of touch there to the rear of the Alpha Tauri. Just reminding Mikkel that he's there, and well, Mikkel now struggling as they come through the final few corners, but there goes the gap again, and that got very touch and go, Seb. That was very close.
Yeah, Eccentric's fighting for his life at the moment. He's obviously not going to keep P4 and P5 with those time penalties. Maybe not even P6, because Captain of Gold's sitting there with no penalties as well. But at least he can get a podium on track. That would be very rewarding for him.
Cello side by side. And Cello just side by side touching. There's a wheel bang there. And they're still pointing in the right direction. But Cello, he just comes too much to the left. There's a yellow flag. Rez doesn't even slow down. He just plows through the McLaren as they come off. He is not happy with that one. Well, there's monumental damage on the Red Bull front wing. I imagine Cello is a similar story, and it sure as hell looks like it. The yellow flag, I'm surprised that's not a VSC. But at this stage of the race, maybe a little too late.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. And look at Combine, he's up into point scoring positions easily now. That's what you get for being patient. But wow, I believe looking at that incident live, it looked like Rez was completed the corner and had straightened up, whereas Cello himself was still just straightening up the car out of the exit of turn 3, and that's just when they came together. And yeah, it's unfortunate. Might be a potential penalty for Rez, but I'd have to have another look at it. It's just Rez is just struggling at the moment. He's gone way too deep into turn 12 with that broken front wing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a tricky thing there to get right. And as we come through into the penultimate lap of the race, we've still got Mikkel on the rear of Eccentric. I imagine this one pretty much done and dusted, but here we come. Rez, 5 seconds spinning into the pit lane. You hate to see it, but you know, not too surprising. He might have been able to pit. I don't know what his penalty situation was like. We can't see it now that he's retired, but it was possibility there for maybe a point. I'm not quite sure, depending on whether he was able to get within the JA Games' 12 seconds penalties there. Cello retires as well. So it's points for everyone who's still in this one. We lose 2 of the final cars on the penultimate lap of the race. You hate to see it, but anything happens that can happen will happen in league racing. And there it is. Dorsch Shui, he's under increasing pressure from Captain of Gold here. No, the penalty gap quite severe here. As Dorsch Shui, well, that's not going to help Captain of Gold if he's seeing it.
Yeah, that would have sent a bit of a fright down Captain of Gold's spine. It certainly woke me up, I'll tell you what, seeing that car shot off to the right. Captain Gold, what he does have is a lot of ERS to play with, but no more than what Dorsch Shui has.
Yeah, he doesn't need to make the move on track. It's the final lap of the race. Mikau, he's nice and close to Eccentric, but I imagine he's just going to play it safe. Bring it home with the P2, with the penalties in mind. Captain of Gold, he needs to think similarly, but if he's getting slowed up by Dorsch Shui here, it might cost him positions to the likes of Eccentric, maybe. I don't think Sandeezy's penalties will get back down. I know they won't.
Oh,
but here he goes. Oh, he's not been giving enough room. That is very, very clear. Oh, the lunge! The lunge! This is an unnecessary risk for the Mercedes!
Oh.
Just Captain to give us some last lap action here, but he does not need to put himself in this precarious position. That was...
Cost him a second.
Yeah, that could lose him a place. And I think it might have done. That might have cost him Eccentric's penalty window. We'll have to wait and see when they cross the line, but it's Ben the Bear. Well, he's won the championship. He's won this race as well now. He's just adding to his total. That's 16 now for the Thai driver. Sandeezy, he crosses the line second. I don't think he's going to finish there. Here comes Eccentric. I don't think he's going to get the racing point. He doesn't, but Mikau gets them both. Sid gets them both as well. And is Sid going to finish on the podium here for the first time in his MRL career? I think the only person who could stop that is Captain of Gold. He only gets Dorsch Shui.
Look at that. That second battling has cost him an extra 2 points of P5.
Yeah, it lost. Absolutely. It's cost Dorsch Shui to Emzo as well. I think he probably would have lost that anyway. Goodbye, YouTuber. He finishes 9th. And JA Games, the first of the Tier 3 reserves opening up to this division. He picks up a point in his first race here. He doesn't like the track. Wings across the line in celebration. And he picks up 10th place. But there we are. What a race that was. A very, very exciting track. No surprise there that Mikau picks up driver of the day. What a race he had. Strategic masterclass. Ben the Bear, though, you can't fault him. His pace is absolutely sublime. We both had him pegged to win this race, and well, I think we've seen it enough times that it's a pretty safe bet here. The Thai driver ahead of his Australian rival once more. Sid, though, another podium sitter to add to the APAC repertoire. He joins a whole host of other drivers who have had that 1 or 2 podium finish, and I could catapult him quite significantly up the order. Sandeezy narrowly misses out on his second podium in the same amount of weeks. But it's Ben the Bear who wins ahead of Mikau, who picked up fastest lap as well. Just by 700ths, but it is still fastest lap. So an extra point there for Mikau. Sid beats Sandeezy on penalties and a huge amount of positions gained for him too. Eccentric 4th to 5th. Not the best race for him, but still a great recovery drive from him with that huge spin at the start. Then Captain of Gold, he comes home in 6th. Emzo finishes 7th. Dorsch Shui in 8th. Combined YouTuber, he gained a position 10th to 9th. JA Gains from 11th to 10th scores his first point for the APAC division. And of course for the Pirates as well. Rez, well, he finishes 11th outside of the points. Cello in 12th. And well, they do get qualified here, but we all know what happened between those two in that part. Well, Kojaki and Matt, the other 2 retirements in this race, they have been counted as DNF because they retired earlier on in the session. We'll be getting interviews hopefully in just a moment. Hopefully I can already see Sid and Ben waiting around in there. But what a race, Seb. That was, truly action-packed from, start to finish.
Yeah, only 14 drivers, but still some good action. I think I said before the race we could still see some good action. It's Mexico. We saw it at Americas. We saw it in Tier 1 as well. We saw it through all the tiers, to be honest with you. So good race from these guys. Nice to see JA get some points in that reserve role. His first race in APAC.
Well, we'll be getting those interviews underway in just a moment. And we do have all 3 drivers, so that is what we love to see. First and foremost, for the first time in his career, Sid, you've not been around for too long. 6 races prior to this one. On your 7th, your first podium. How are you feeling after that one?
Yeah, great actually. It was a very entertaining race, I should say. It was just a DRS train for the entire dry section of the race. Me and Emza had a bit of touching, and yeah, just went from there. Sendizi pulled, but he had major problems with penalty situations, so I was able to keep it clean. I think I got one, but and the dry section, oh sorry, the wet section was incredible. I was kind of off the pace, but Mikau and Entrix were going ham at the last sector, so I was able to keep with them for a bit.
Yeah, well, from your point of view, penalties, obviously you picked up 3 there, but really playing into your, overall position at the end and the reason you're here in the podium. You picked up 3 seconds, but was that in your mind? Obviously, Mexico infamous for penalties here. But,
Yeah,
were you thinking about that through the race?
not really actually. I knew Sendizi, and I'm pretty sure Entrix had a bunch of penalty problems as well. I didn't do like zero practice for this race, so I was expecting to kind of rack up the penalties, but I did manage to keep it quite clean, which was surprising on my part. But I wasn't really too worried about the 3-second penalty. My entire intention was to try and save the tires to stay out towards the end when everyone did pit. Ben was always going to catch us. He had too much of a gap, so he could pit and catch us both. But I realized that Rez, Mikau pitted. He managed to get me just before it started. We pitted into Inters, and also it was a captain. Yeah, they all pitted for 3 stops, and I knew that my tires could last, so I was just focusing on trying to make it there, and it did work out. So yeah, it was a great race.
Sid, congratulations on your first podium. It was, well deserved. It's been coming for a few weeks. Your pace has been pretty strong over the course of your first few races, and now you've got yourself onto the podium. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week in Brazil.
Thank you so much, Unicorn. Have a good one, mate.
Yeah, you
Cheers,
too.
guys.
And then there he is. Mikau joins us. No stranger to the commentary with Mikau. 13th to 2nd. That was quite the campaign from your point of view. Talk us through that one, my friend.
Yeah, it was a great race for us. No, plan was always to start on the mediums. And then when the weather forecast said that there'd be a bit of rain at the end, I was like, well, there's the go-to ticket to start on the mediums. So I invalidated my lap in qualifying, but it really didn't make much of a difference though. But yeah, no, that first safety car, everyone pitted for mediums. I was like, nope, I'm gonna go for softs. And that was fun to just really put the pace that I had myself, pace of the car, and the pace of the tires, just put that to good use. And then with the second safety car, meant I was able to stretch the first set to lap 23, which meant just in case the rain didn't come, I could go on another set of softs to the end. So yeah, really fun race from us.
Yeah, absolutely. We also saw, penalties. They played a huge role in that race. You managed to, whilst, carving your way through the field on those softs, which was, very, very entertaining from our side of things. And, you said you enjoyed it yourself. But how, close was it? We saw you, down into turn 12. I can't remember who you were side by side with, but pushed off the track, a little bit. How, much were you focusing on just getting the positions, or was it in the back of your mind as well that, penalties could be very, very important at the end of this one?
Unicorn, I was on 2 track limit warnings since the end of lap 4. So it was always on my mind there. A bit tight with both Dorshui and Eccentric at turn 12, but was just able to keep it just within the lines when it was important, and yeah, came away with the second place. So, but yes, penalties were definitely on my mind, especially after getting one warning on lap 1 and then another one on lap 4, and knew I was like, okay, this is going to be tough.
Well, Mikau, a great race from you. Obviously, Brazil next week. What are your thoughts on that track? Is it one that, you're particularly confident around, or, just talk us through, thoughts on Brazil, and obviously only 2 rounds left.
Yeah, 2 rounds left. Second place in the drivers is secured. Second place, I believe, in the constructors is also pretty well done at this point. So, no, Brazil just qualify on the mediums. See where that puts me, and then do the alternate strategy and just have some fun there, and hopefully do some more overtaking.
Well, Mikhail, congratulations once again on another podium. I think it's your 16th of the season. So, huge congratulations, and we'll see you next week in Interlagos.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Cheers.
And again, another person who's no stranger to the commentary booth, his 16th win of the season. As always, I'll hand it over to Seb. But Ben, you're our drivers' champion. You've won. You had another race here. Congratulations. And Seb, over to you.
Ben, a fairly easy race for you. Just want to know, walk us through those race starts, because one of them was absolutely brilliant and the other one not so brilliant. Just give us a rundown of those 2 ones from the safety car restarts.
Hello, Unicorn. Hello, Seb. It was a tough race just on pens, I think, overall. And I think, as Seb was talking about the safety car restarts, I think I did get a jump on Sandrizi, I think, at the first safety car, but I knew he was probably going to be locked on for the second. So, I think I had some mixed feelings again, just if I was ready, just, pounce or just go for it. So, but he was really close for the both safety car restarts. It was very, very tough.
Yeah, and a relatively easy race. We saw in qualifying you didn't leave yourself a big enough gap to Matt for that last run. Were you on for the record in MRL?
I was, but I didn't know Matt was gonna be on another run because the previous lap he was already on a lap. So I wondered if he was just gonna slow down, but it realized he was doing a 2-time run. So I probably didn't know that. Probably mistaken from my point of view.
And lastly, that was I wouldn't say an E2 easy race. You mentioned the pens, but you were out the front the whole time. You just had to manage. Was it all about just staying mentally focused to make sure you didn't lose that concentration with the penalties and make sure you didn't lose a car at all?
It was really just both, I think. Having dry setups during the wet conditions, you probably had to have your focus on probably pinpoint conditions just to be able to drive that type of setup in that type of weather. So I think, managing both penalties and the car, I think, was fairly tough. I think, it's easy to get warnings here, as demonstrated by a lot of the drivers today. But, managed to stay on the track and, just drive.
Yeah, well, congratulations. And this is the first time I'm speaking to you as a champion of the APAC division, so congratulations on that as well.
Thank you, Seb, Unicorn.
All right, and that just about wraps up everything here from Mexico for the APAC division. Obviously, we'll be back later, myself and Alex Biddo, for the Formula 2. That kicks off in about 6 hours' time. That's 8 p.m. BST, 3 p.m. Eastern. But Seb, what a round of racing here in Mexico. Any last words before we round up the stream?
No, but I'm not sure I'll be here next week, but I'll definitely be here for Abu Dhabi. So looking forward to that. A great a great track to race on in the game, but not necessarily in real life. So
yeah, absolutely. Only 2 rounds left. We'll be back same time, same place here on the YouTube for the penultimate round of the APAC division, obviously in Brazil. But Brazilian action kicks off on Tuesday with the Tier 3 race on Twitch. That'll be Striv and Alex Biddo, of course, same time as the F2 tonight, 8 p.m. BST, 3 p.m. Eastern. But with that being said, thank you to our massive partners, Next Level Racing. Be sure to check them out in the link down below if you're looking for a sim racing rig, wheels down, or motion sim. And thank you all so much for watching and for the support on the stream. Make sure you subscribed as well for when race replays, highlights, track guides all go live. And of course, it's not long until we head into the new game either, so a lot to look forward to here. 2 rounds to go. F2 tonight, Brazil kicks off on Tuesday. But until next time, thank you all so much for watching. Take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one.
We are back. We are back with some Tier 1 action.
And that is the AlphaTauri of Adrian straight head on into the Red Bull. And the Kai Bocchini has joined the party, and he's on these medium compound tires in the Merc. This is very late braking from the Ferrari. He locks up and he blocks Zamis. And who is that? That is Jean with a fantastic exit, and he is going to get ahead of both of them here. So I believe it's crossing the line now, checkered flag. Adam and Bajar in the first two to catch it early. Vettel now rounding the final two turns of 22 and 23 here in Singapore. The Racing Points collect the 1-2. Battery, there goes Ben the Bear now just ahead, taking the checkered flag, coming through the Casio triangle. It's still wheel to wheel between these two. Mick out with a great traction. Oh, what a run out of the chicane, and he gets it done. How's the exit for the Ferrari? Good so far. You can see wheel to wheel coming down the straight into turn 4. It's the Ferrari leading through. Ben, wheel to wheel now with Revo, and he has so much pace in this Racing Point right now. It's wheel to wheel between these two. How's somebody gonna go? He's drifted off. Does the exit? What an exit out of the Williams. Does he get him? There's a big snap. Jake looking on the inside of 8 and 9. It's the Mercedes coming around the outside of 9. Does he get this move done on Tim? This is huge. This is absolutely massive. A drag race coming through 10 now, down into 11. Here we go, and Zamis has the popcorn.
But Yukio tries to turn in, and Domi just says,
Oh, the stars.
Goes for a second.
What a move from the stars. That is the Renault of Van Putten up the inside of the Williams into turn 1. Freeware's gonna get Yoda. Freeware's gonna get Yoda.
Yoda wins the race!